Il Signore fa una promessa carica di speranza che ci tocca da vicino.
Today on the Morning Edition, he lived with humility, led with compassion, and broke centuries of tradition. This morning, the world remembers Pope Francis, dead at 88 years old. His life, his legacy, and the global impact of his final blessing.
You think that they are just coming for people that don't look like you? It will be you next.
No kings in America, a national outcry echoing in Alaska. Why weekend protesters in downtown Anchorage believe the future of democracy is on the line. And later, a walk in the park that could change a dog's life. How Anchorage Animal Care and Control is helping shelter pets find new friends and possibly new homes. One trail at a time as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. A good walk on a trail with a dog, I think, is like all you need to just brighten your day.
Yeah, and the weekend was a nice weekend to get outdoors, soak up that sunshine, that warmth. Of course, we are waking up this morning to the return to some rain showers across South Central. While we're primarily seeing rain, if you live along the Anchorage hillside, some of those higher elevations, you're likely waking up to some light snow showers, if not some wintry mix to start off your Monday morning. But those temperatures, they are sitting in the upper 30s to near 40 degrees. Winds remaining calm, and we will keep with that drizzle for a large portion of the day, at least for inland areas of South Central. We're not talking about any significant rainfall, but we will keep with that drizzle to light rain sticking around through most of the day. We've got 30s and 40s across South Central with a few locations sitting in the 20s, and you can see widespread rain near the coast, while inland areas, we are holding on to that scattered to periodic chance for seeing some rain, which will stay with us throughout the remainder of the day. And then towards the afternoon, late afternoon, early evening hours, we could begin to see some breaks in the clouds. Overall, though, we are going to hold on to these cloudier conditions as we start off your Monday. And activity has been fairly light through the night, as most locations across South Central have seen less than 1/10 of an inch of rainfall. So that goes to show just how light that rain has been falling. And we are going to continue to hold on to that throughout the remainder of the day. Areas of Prince William Sound could see up to 1/2 an inch of that rainfall accumulation from today on into your Tuesday, with some locally heavier amounts. And then inland areas of South Central, we'll certainly see a lot lighter activity. Our better chance, of course, arrives later this afternoon into the evening hours, but we'll keep with that daily chance for some rain showers. Also watching temperatures this week, as we have a decent shot for highs to warm their way into the 50s. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
Breaking news overnight, Pope Francis, known to millions as the People's Pope, has died at the age of 88. He spent more than a decade at the helm of the Catholic Church, known for his humility, his call for justice, and his deep connection to the people. Tina Kraus looks back on his life, legacy, and the mark Pope Francis left on the world.
From his first words as Pope,
Fratelli e sorelle, buonasera.
Francis displayed a humble style that earned him the nickname the People's Pope, often wearing plain robes and living in a small apartment at the Vatican. Born in Argentina in 1936, Jorge Bergoglio became a priest in 1969 and Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998. He earned another nickname there, the Bishop of the Slums. He rode the bus, cooked his own meals, and preached in the poorest neighborhoods. The Pope's humility was visible during his visit to the U.S. in 2015. He rode in a small car and his Pope-mobile while getting around in Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia.
In the land of the free, at the home of the brave.
The Holy Father made history when he addressed Congress and celebrated Mass with hundreds of thousands of people in Philadelphia. The Pope also brought a message to U.S. Catholics to take care of those less fortunate. On the final day of his trip, he met with victims of sex abuse. In 2019, Pope Francis expelled disgraced former U.S. Cardinal Theodore McCarrick after a Vatican investigation found him guilty of sexually abusing children. He was the most high-profile church figure to be defrocked in modern times.
We ask forgiveness for our sins.
The move came just weeks before nearly 200 senior church leaders met for a landmark Vatican summit to prevent clergy sex abuse.
Nei confronti dei bambini.
Despite the clergy abuse scandal, the Pope worked at making the church more welcoming. He launched a worldwide survey on contraception, premarital sex, and homosexuality. The Pope said gay people should not be marginalized and famously asked, "Who am I to judge?" Francis made history in 2023, leading the funeral of his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI. That same year, he celebrated the first decade of his papacy with the release of his first podcast, or Popecast. In an historic interview with CBS's Norah O'Donnell in 2024, the Pope addressed criticisms of his efforts to revisit teachings and traditions of the Church.
One thing is to take tradition into account, to consider situations from the past. But quite another is to be closed up inside a dogmatic box.
Francis, who had part of his lung removed when he was younger, battled a number of health issues in his later years, including hospitalizations for bronchitis. Supporters will forever remember him as a revolutionary pope, crediting him with choosing service and kindness over the power of the papacy. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
In July 2022, Pope Francis issued a historic apology to Indigenous peoples for the Church's role in residential boarding schools. The apology was heard around the world, including here in Alaska, where the wounds run deep. Many welcomed the words as a step towards healing. Following the death of Pope Francis, the Vatican now enters a period of mourning and transition. Cardinal Kevin Farrell, the Camerlengo, has confirmed the death. He will seal the Pope's quarters and prepare for funeral rites that will last 9 days. The funeral will be held in St. Peter's Square. The College of Cardinals takes over church affairs during the interim. A conclave will begin in about 2 weeks to elect a new pope. The world will know a successor has been chosen when white smoke rises from the Sistine Chapel.
From that point forward, the new pope gets prepared. He then appears on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica behind me. The cardinals announced to the people below, Abemus Papam, we have a pope, and that pope offers his first blessing to the world and becomes known to people around the world.
Pope Francis, who traveled to over 60 countries, has chosen to be buried in a church he loved in Rome. Instead of a burial inside the Vatican, he asked to be laid to rest at St. Mary Major Basilica, a place he often visited. He also chose a simple funeral, reflecting the humble way he lived. We'll continue our coverage on alaskasnewssource.com.
Our democracy is disappearing by death by 1,000 cuts. Every time Trump turns around another executive order, our democracy goes down the toilet.
That passionate message from a Fairbanks protester was just one of many across Alaska over the weekend. From Fairbanks to Anchorage, thousands joined demonstrations opposing the Trump administration's policies, saying they're feeling the impacts nationwide. Olivia Nordyke was in downtown Anchorage, where protesters took to the streets to make their voices heard.
According to an organizing website, at least 6 separate protests took place in Alaska Saturday. Petersburg, Fairbanks, Nome, Soldotna, Juneau, Kodiak, Wasilla, and Anchorage. Crowds raised their signs in protest of the Trump administration's actions.
Really and truly, we're fighting against the policies that are going to make Alaska a really difficult place to live.
Erin Jackson Hill, executive director of Stand Up Alaska, says she believes recurring nationwide protests are uniting Americans. Signs addressing LGBTQ+ rights, Medicare and Medicaid, Veterans Affairs, immigration, and a recurring call for no kings.
Basically, it's 50 protests in 50 states with one voice. And this week, we're talking about there's no kings in America. You can't just institute whatever you want to. This is still a democracy.
Many protesting President Trump's deportations, including the illegal abduction of Maryland resident Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Jackson Hill calling these protests necessary.
If you're not here, you should be. You think that they are just coming for people that don't look like you? It will be you next.
Some protesters over the weekend focused on the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man they believe was wrongfully deported. His name has been on the lips of Americans and Alaskans. Sunday in Anchorage, a smaller group gathered for what organizers called emergency protest for immigration. The Party for Socialism and Liberation says people in Alaska are being affected, including 4 UAA students who recently had their visas revoked.
We've learned that they're deporting immigrants here in Alaska, and just also what's happening nationally with people being deported to a concentration camp in El Salvador. And so we thought it's necessary to come out and let ICE and Department of Homeland Security that it's not going to be tolerated for them.
In recent weeks, the Trump administration has reaffirmed its stance, saying Abrego Garcia will not be allowed back into the U.S., calling him, quote, a violent person.
This man is according to certified statements that we get, is a very violent person. And they want this man to be brought back into our country where he can be free and to stay as a happily Maryland, they call him the Maryland man. He's a Maryland father. No, this is a violent person.
We'll break down the latest on this case and have details on the Trump administration's ongoing face-off with the courts a little later in our newscast. Turning now to Capitol coverage, lawmakers are off today, but when they return tomorrow, the issue of school funding will once again be a legislative priority. Governor Mike Dunleavy is pushing a new education bill with a $560 boost to per-student funding. He says fluctuating oil prices make it necessary to stay flexible.
The problem with the bill that we just vetoed was, from a fiscal perspective again, the fiscals have deteriorated since December dramatically. We're in the 60s in terms of oil revenue, and 63 or 64 bucks a barrel. And that'll change. That may go up. That's going to go up. It's going to go down.
Governor Dunleavy didn't directly blame tariffs or global economies, but oil and gas analyst Larry Persily says they're all connected, impacting how much money Alaska lawmakers may have to work with to fund the state, including education.
As far as local school districts, though, they get their funds generally from three sources: the state, which, as we know, is squeezed by lower oil prices; the federal government, and we know there the Trump administration is cutting Department of Education programs; and from local tax sources, such as property tax and sales tax for those cities that have a sales tax. So local districts are being squeezed on three sides.
Dunleavy spoke further about oil prices and their effects on the budget. You can read more from him on our website. Meanwhile, across Alaska, teachers are left with questions and concerns about the future of education funding. In Anchorage, one teacher is already feeling the impact of cuts. Lauren Maxwell has the update as we continue covering education this morning.
Yeah, so this is a scene along Turnagain Arms, so by Girdwood.
Amanda Thompson has been an artist her whole life and an Anchorage teacher since 2017. For the last year, Thompson has been the only full-time art teacher at Henshaw Middle School, a place that holds a special bond.
Henshaw is where I went to school. It's where my dad went to school, so yes.
Which is why Thompson says it was doubly disappointing to learn she'd been displaced, not just for her, but for her students.
I have kids that are getting Fs in all their other classes, but they come in art and they become alive.
Thompson believes the district has money to fund her position, but has chosen not to.
I just have so many questions.
She worries the arts might go away.
I grew up in ASD schools that supported fine arts. And yes, we had to fight for it. I testified to the school board as a child too. But it was always, you always felt supported. There's no doubt why the arts mattered. And I feel like something is changing.
She says she'd like more answers from the district. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
When we come back, who let the dogs out? Now you can. A new program in Anchorage lets you check out a shelter dog. How Tales on Trails is helping dogs find homes while giving volunteers a walk to remember. Plus, a global issue with local impact. How a traveling exhibit in Fairbanks is sparking conversations about climate change.
Showers have made a return to South Central. We are chasing 50s this week across the region. I'll have more on that, but first at sunrise, 6:18 in Anchorage, 5:28 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
You know, we have a history of people being creative and having ingenuity and coming up with solutions for things over time. So the more that we can be talking about it and learning from each other is just going to benefit all of us.
A traveling exhibit on climate change is now open at Fairbanks' Knollwine Public Library, designed to show how a warming planet is affecting Alaska and beyond. The display covers everything from rising seas to melting permafrost and longer wildfire seasons. And it ends by asking visitors to reflect on how climate change has impacted their own lives. The exhibit is scheduled to remain up until May 16th. Creators say the goal is simple: to educate and inspire action. Aaron, we saw beautiful sunny skies over the weekend, but this morning a bit of a rainy start.
Yeah, we're going to see some of that drizzle sticking around for a good portion of inland areas of South Central throughout the day, while coastal regions continue to hold on to more in the way of that light to moderate activity. So really for the morning into the afternoon hours, that's where we'll hold on to that chance for some rain. We'll still see it into the evening as well. It's really today and tomorrow where we are going to see that better chance for some rain for inland areas of South Central. You can see even out towards southeast, we've got some rain in the forecast. Statewide, though, not much set to impact the state as we start off a brand new week. We're not expecting to see any strong winds across the state, but we are still holding on to some of that passing showers as you head out towards parts of southwest Alaska. This comes from a weakening frontal system, and you can see most of that moisture falling apart through southwest Alaska. Here in South Central, we've got more of that light to moderate rain. Then, of course, eastern parts of the Gulf of Alaska as you head out towards the Panhandle, also keeping some of that rain in the forecast. So we'll hold on to the start of this week with some of those wetter conditions. Higher elevations of the Anchorage and Eagle River hillside, likely seeing more in the way of a light snow, if not some wintry mix, as those temperatures are dropping down near freezing in some of those higher elevations. So we'll keep with that rain throughout the day, drying out towards the afternoon hours with some peaks of sunshine looking possible. And then overnight into tomorrow, you can see a better chance for some rain builds back in across areas of South Central. And then as we close out Tuesday and welcome in Wednesday, we are watching another system that's going to build into the Gulf Coast region. Now, this is largely going to impact coastal regions of South Central as well as southeast, while inland areas will stay on the drier side by Wednesday. In fact, we should see some peaks of sunshine arriving by the middle of the week. But we are going to keep that drizzle to light rain today for inland areas, while rain remains for coastal regions. There's that chance of rain today, dipping briefly tonight and then picking right back up overnight on into your Tuesday, as we are going to continue to hold on to this somewhat wetter weather pattern. And this rain certainly is going to be beneficial coming off of a low snowpack season. Of course, we also saw a low rainfall event, really a low precipitation event for March. Now, April and May tends to be our drier months of the year, but we'll take what precipitation we can get, considering the fact that we did see a low snowfall season. And we are going to see those temperatures today warming into the low to mid 40s. We could see some mid to upper 40s through the valley. And then, of course, through the rest of this week, some warmer conditions will begin to take hold. Mid to upper 40s across the Panhandle today. You can see those breezy conditions expected through Taya Inlet and Lynn Canal. Nothing in terms of heavy rainfall, but we will keep some of that showers around throughout your Monday. We've got 46 in Homer, 45 in Soldotna. Some of the best chance for rain will be through Prince William Sound, where we could see up to a half an inch today, slightly higher amounts into your Tuesday. And we could can't rule out a few light breezy conditions throughout the afternoon hours. Mid to upper 40s through the valley, with an outside chance we could warm into the 50s, 45 in Anchorage, 43 degrees in Girdwood. We'll see some breezy conditions throughout the day, but max winds should be less than 20 miles per hour. There's that chance for showers into your Tuesday. And then we touch near 50 through the rest of the week, if not warming into the lower 50s, with a mix of sun and clouds the latter half of this week.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Anchorage Animal Care and Control recently began a new program to enrich the lives of dogs living in its shelter. Quinn White shares how you can get involved.
This is my new friend Bristol. We're hanging out today as part of Anchorage Animal Care and Control's new Tales on the Trails program, and I think she's ready to hit the coastal trail.
Think about it kind of like borrowing a book from the library. After volunteers fill out an application, they can check out a dog for up to 48 hours.
Where they can go for hikes, they can go walk on the beach, or even some of our lazier dogs, they can just go spend a night watching a movie with some family. It just makes their life so much better while they're here, helps socialize them, and honestly, it just gets them even more advertising for potential adopters.
What do you smell? Animal Control has already received about 100 volunteer applications since the program launched a few weeks ago, and they're looking for more.
Animal Control is open 7 days a week, so you can make Tales on the Trail work around your schedule. I'm Quinn White, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.